Hey, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, one half of the Dungeon Swag team. And yesterday I made I made a couple spell markers. I made a flaming sphere and an axe, a shield, and a mace, or axe, a sword, and a mace. So today I think what I'm going to do is a couple more, what do you call it, spell effects. So what this is Play-Doh brand air dry clay. And it advertises on the package that you can make like keychains and stuff with it, but that's not what I want to do. I want to get a chunk of it, and I want to make a hand. So let's see how that goes. So I'm going to get a knife. Maybe. Oh, that one's not open yet. And I get a knife that's open. I'm going to separate a thumb. Kind of work that around and get into a little bit of a shape. And then I'm going to round that off again. Flatten that out. Then I'm going to make some fingers in there. So since there's 4 fingers, it means I need 3 cuts. So I'm going to try to something like that. Okay, separate those out. That one's a little thick, but that's okay, because we can just stretch it out and pull off the end of it and straighten it and make it okay. All right. So what I want to do is I want to make like an interposing hand with this part. So we want to kind of put that back together. Well, actually, you know, since I messed that finger up, made it a little fat, we'll use this one for the fist. So we want to pull that down and make a fist shape. See, this is not a masterful craft. I am not some master sculptor. I'm just a regular dude like y'all. And we're going to make the hand. And then we want to make sure that the finger creases are prominent. So just get something you can shove in there and make those fingers wider apart. And you could really get into this if you wanted. You could do like little knuckles. If you were motivated by such stuff. 2 knuckles on a finger. And then you got like a little bit of a curve of a nail. You could do that too. And you want to probably put a nail on a thumb. Something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? Let's get a little piece of, is my hot glue gun on? It is. There you go. You're starting to remember it a little better now. Let's get a couple pieces of this. Little thin aluminum, I don't know what this stuff's called. It's like wire, but it's not wire. It's something else. And let's get a brush. So like I said yesterday, I did some spell effects and I had a lot of fun, and I thought they were bright and colorful and nice, and I thought I'd like to do something like that again. And if you've seen Vox Machina on Amazon, there's a character. He's a gnome gnome bard, which is hilarious because long before that, my oldest friend in the world has been playing gnome bards. Because there was a time where there was a poll on the Wizards DM forums, and there was this poll that said that gnomes were the least played and least liked of the core races for 3.5. This was many years back. And my buddy started playing gnomes, specifically gnome bards, which was at the time one of the least played classes. And he was doing this specifically for the reason of showing why they shouldn't be last. But what he didn't seem to understand is the main problem isn't that gnomes or bards were bad. It's that they're just not as popular. So he went out of his way on a crusade to make them popular and good by himself in a game that we just played. And to this day, he almost exclusively, in D&D style games, like fantasy games, plays gnome bards. It's just kind of his thing. All right, so we have 2 of these going. And if you want to kind of get it in there and get it covered and pull it up and get it sturdy. I might have to get that fan kicking to get these to solidify a little faster. You want those kind of centered, and that's one hand. Let's get the other hand made. And we'll do this one as the interposing hand, which is like a, you know. So anyways, we were talking about Scanlan's hand. Basically, he summons different kind of Bigsby style hands. And he has one that's going like this and one that's going like that and stuff. And I made those for Daryl, for my friend, my old friend. And he just loved them. All right. Once you get those made, round off those tips a little bit. Curve the hand some. Get in there and get those fingers deeper. Try to round some of this off a little bit if you can. You got a little bit of time to work with these, honestly, but. And then handprint, or not handprint, but you know, the creases on a hand are kind of something you could do here. And then there's the creases where the fingers bend in. You could do some fingernails. If you want. And we're going to kit these two. Well, that one's probably already hardened in the wrong direction, isn't it? Kind of. I think we can straighten her out. You just want to pop these in here. Like that. So there's our interposing hand. There's our fist. Let me get this settled straight as I can. We got a fist. We got a hand. We can set those off to the side. We'll keep an eye on those bases to make sure they don't get nasty. Now we need to make a shield too. So let's get another little base out and make a shield. I hope I never run out of this stuff because I don't remember what it was called or where I got it. Some kind of metal crap. It's probably got it at Christmas time, knowing me. All right, so we need a little piece of cardboard to make this out of. This shield out of. So I'm thinking we want it to be like a traditional shield shape. But we want it to be like maybe a little bit bigger in scale than what exactly a mini might be holding. Right? So that we can do something with it decorative-wise. Something like that. Perfect. And let's get an old D&D playing card, or a trading card, or a magic card, or a Pokemon card, or any kind of card you have. Let's come back around and get a second layer on that. A little bit smaller this time, though. See what I mean in a second here. So I'm just getting my shape. I'm tracing it. And I'm going to cut a little bit on the inside of that. Following that same pattern. Just cutting a little bit on the inside of it. Okay. Okay. And the goal is, if we did it right, it's going to sit right on there and create a second layer. Good. All right, we just need to cut a little bit of that end to tip off here. Okay. It's just a little bit smaller. See that? That's what we wanted. Let's get a little bit of this glue here. Spread that around. so it sticks to it. Then we're going to put that on, and we'll set it off to the side for a couple minutes while we go to the next part of what we're doing. Now, you're going to have some extra sticking out if you put too much glue like I did. You're going to have a little bit extra. So lean that on something. There's a CD right there. We can lean it on while that dries. Okay. Shield. There's a base. There's a pole for it. Hands. And, oh, here's the other thing I wanted to do. That's why I had the metal thing out. I want to do a 30-foot cone. So to do a 30-foot cone, you need a square to start with, usually. So let's get a 4-inch by 4-inch square going. This is thicker cardboard. This is from the bottom of a board game, or something. I think it was a board game, like a Star Wars game. It was like an old school Star Wars mini game is what it was, now that I'm thinking about it. Actually, could have just flipped it over and looked. That would have been the wise play there, kids. So some people do cones at 30 degrees. And some people do cones at freaking 90 degrees. And some people do 45s and whatever have you. Right now, if we were to do this, this is a 90-degree cone, right? From here to here. So we're going to do a 90-degree cone. And we know... Wait, am I a crackhead? Yes, I am. All right, I am a crackhead. That is the problem we are having right now. I needed to do it differently. So this is 4 inches in height. I needed to find the center of this. This is, we're going to cut off 7 and make it 3.5. That's what it is. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me, I'm getting old. Let's cut that off. All right. We'll find our 3.5-inch center. And then let's find the 3.5-inch center on this side. All right, so we know this is 4 inches wide, and it's a cone, and cones end in a rounded shape. So what we want to do is we want to get that rounded thing centered on our CD and push it to the edge. So the center of this line is in the center of this hole in the CD. See it? This is our X line. We don't want this one. And then we want to drag it down to where it's on the edge of the cardboard there. And then we just want to make our circle go around, okay? And then we want to cut that. All right. Then we want to do the same thing on this side. All right, so, oh, I made it a little wonky. That's okay, just clean it up the best you can. No one's going to notice if it's a little bit off. All right, so we have this, and now we need a protractor. I think this is called a protractor. I'm sure it's called a protractor. And what we want to do is we want to get our center line on this dot on the protractor. And we want to do So if this is a 45 degree, or sorry, if this is 90 degrees, it means we need to go 45 this way. So 90 plus 45 is 135. And then 90 minus 45 is 45. And then we just want to draw our lines. Like that. And like that. And this is going to be our 45 or 20-foot cone. 20 foot is 4 inches in standard D&D scale. So if you wanted to make a larger cone and then do different segments going back, you could. Like, say, it would be really cool if you did like an 8-inch cone, which would be a 40-foot cone, and then you just measured and stepped back and put like a 6-inch cone, a 4-inch cone, a 2-inch cone, smaller and smaller, smaller on top, and made it 3D. That would be really cool too. But we didn't do that. And I didn't think about that till just now. All right, so we got our cone, and what we want to do is 2 things. One, we want to have a handle of some sort, like a peg or a bead or something you can grab it by easily when you're using it on the table. I don't remember where this was hanging. There we go. No, that wasn't it. Somewhere. It was hanging somewhere. There it is. All right, so we want to get our cone, and we want to paint it, quickly paint this black for the base coat, and then we'll set it off to the side, all right? So let's get a brush. It might be good to use Mod Podge on this part, but I am not overly concerned about it because this part is not going to be seen all the way. You could do both sides if you wanted. I don't see the need to for what I'm doing, but you could. All right, let's set that off to the side. Start brushing the water over there. All right, so the next thing I want to do is CDs are just a little bit over 4 inches, I think. Yeah, so they're almost 5 inches. So that'd be a good 25 by 25 by 25 marker with a little bit of going outside. So what we're going to do with this bad boy is we're going to glue this to it. I'm going to glue this to that, like this. And we're going to use this Spider-Man 3 as a template for a web spell. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to cut around here. It might take 2 passes. Yeah, it's going to take another pass. No problem. Someone made a comment about my phone being the angle it is. I am getting a new rig. With the rig I have, I couldn't find a way to make it work with my workbench. This workbench is something that is just, it is what it is. All right, so this is going to be the base of our web. So we just kind of want to trim this down some. Bevel the edges a little bit if we can, so that it doesn't seem like such a lip stepping up onto our table. can do this as much or as little as you want. Something like that's good. Alright, so this is going to be our web spell. We could train this, or we can just not train it. I'm going to not train it this time. My one I already have made is trained. It has dust and dirt and rocks because it's in a cave. I'm going to do this one to be where it can be anywhere. Someone's calling me on the phone. I'm not going to answer it because I'm making stuff. I don't recognize the number, or do I? This is going smooth. Don't count on it staying that way, kids. Knowing me, we're seconds away from screwing this up. Okay. Let's set that off to the side to dry. Let's come back to this piece for our cone spell, for our flaming hands or whatever it might be. Probably should have carved that down too, just so it didn't look like a little bit of a rough edge there, but we didn't. So, all right, let's set those off to the side. All right, let's come back to our hands. Now, these are not secured in any real way, and these are already probably starting to dry a little bit. So let's pop that hole in there. Put more glue than we need on there, and get it back in the hole. And twist it around and make sure the glue is contacting everywhere. Twist our hand back into shape a little bit. We're going to do the same thing on this boy. I'll put some in the hole this time. That's going to squirt out all crazy. Okay. Set those off to the side. Let's worry about our shield now. So we're going to need the hot glue again, right? Now, yesterday when I did this, I had a problem where I tried to drill into it and it cracked. So that's why, if you're wondering, I'm using this hot glue technique, which is not ideal. What I'm trying to accomplish. So let's let that sit for a minute. Learn from our last mistake and not use too much glue where it takes forever. We'll let that kind of air cool. Alright, so what we got to do here is we have metal on this, and we want to just kind of drag a magical effect from this glue up onto where it touches the hand. Okay? And do that all the way around, ensuring that we're covering the palm hole that we made. Oh, and we're covering all of the metal rod. Okay? So just drag that up and around. We're going to do the same thing on this one. Just dragging it around, get it where we want it. Up and down. And then, just so this magic effect down here isn't completely boring, we're just going to rub our glue gun in a little bit, so when we come back and paint it, there's something to it. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to just kind of get it on our stick and drag it down around the base, make a little bit of a circle with our hot glue. So apparently my plan to use less glue to get this locked into place was a failure, because the minute I add more glue, it started moving. I think this new gun is just, or not new gun, but her gun is just too hot compared to what mine was. So we want to get that back in the center there if we can, and try to keep that so it dries in the center if we can, if it's possible. Perfection is not prerequisite for enjoying a craft or doing a good job. So this is our fire spell, and I think the way to handle this is, now that we've got a coat of paint on this, I think the way we should have handled this from the beginning was to paint this yellow. That was my mistake. But it's not too late to rectify that. Let's put this black paint away. Let's get a yellow. I have these little metal lids I find laying around in my house. We're double checking this thing to make sure it's drying straight up and down. Then we're going to put a really thin coat of yellow and hope it dries quick. And then we're going to do the same thing a couple more times until it's yellow. If we had gone yellow on the brown, I think it would have been a 2-coat deal. But since we're going yellow on black, I'm guessing it's going to be a 3 or 4-coat deal. I'm guessing. I don't know that. Set that off to the side. Get that yellow back on there. Okay. All right, we're going to let that go for a minute, and let's put our yellow paint off to the side so we don't get it in our next thing we're doing. Now we have our shield to do. So shields have a little bit of a natural curve to them. So what we want to do is get like a marker or something and kind of pull that around and try to capture some of that natural curve. Not perfect. And then I have a little bit of like weirdness here that I don't like, so I'm just going to snip that off. A little bit. And then we're going to come over here, and we want to mount this to this pole, right? But we don't want this whole pole here. We're going to get a dab of glue. And for now, we're just going to touch that glue on the back of the shield and drag it into place, and then slide it down to hold it. Temporarily hold it where we are going to want it to be. And then, once we got that, come back here, and we're just going to drag this up onto the shield and then spread it out some. Okay. Now, this will be like your equivalent of a shield spell that you can cast on yourself or on another. Maybe a divine shield or whatever you're using in your system. I don't know, I can't even remember what the real spells for this are anymore. In my system, you can summon a weapon or a shield on yourself or on an ally, and based off of how many caster points you have left and focus check, you can continuously keep something like this up on somebody. Pretty easy. It's not an enormous bonus, but it's something. Right. Well, now, for these, the magic coming up is not the most important part, but it's pretty important. So, oh wait, hold on. Let's give this a little hot air and get another coat of yellow on here in between. Yeah, buddy. Little coat of yellow. Oh, my rag fell. Alright, I got it. No problem. No problem, brah. Yeah, it's going to need more than 2 coats for sure. We'll get this yellowed up nice and yummy. Looking like a beautiful sunrise. Mm-hmm. Let's get that back over there for a minute. All right. So let's get some black paint and a smaller brush, and let's go around on these and paint the non-magic. Oh no, we need I'm an idiot. No, sorry, we're missing a step here. These need dry brush or spray painted white. All these things are going to need spray painted. So let's just get a little bit of glue and throw them on a pill bottle. If you've watched me before, you know these pill bottles are, as you get older, especially me, I have arthritis in my hands. It gets very hard for me to hold stuff. So these pill bottles give me something that I don't have to, like, get in there and, I do have some name brand ones as well. I don't seem to like them as much. I have these Citadel ones. I have this one and a big one and a couple other dumb ones. And then I have a nice one that my friend made me, but I don't like to get it dirty. But I have these, and they're just not the same as having something I can just kind of hold in my hand and not worry about dropping. So I'm going to base coat these with some white real quick. If you can patiently wait for me. And we're letting that yellow dry anyways. All right, we got one. We got two and the shield. All right, let's take a look at these and make sure I don't need to hit those again. No, I think it'll be all right. All right. Get rid of my paint sleeve. Get my lid back on my white. Where'd you put your white paint lid? I don't know, man. All right, so back to developing our yellow base here. Let's crack it with the old Hotaruski. +2. Heat got a melting. Let's get our little metal cap or lid we got from someone left it laying around. It's probably not ours. Now, if you're a child watching this, I don't really make my videos for kids, but I don't make them not for kids either. I make them for, mostly people my age that are doing this stuff, right? But if you're a kid watching this and you don't have access to these little metal caps, say your parents don't buy you root beer or whatever, I'm sure somebody in your neighborhood has a lot of these little metal caps laying around, and you can just kind of ask your mom and dad to help you get somebody to gather some up for you. All right, so let's go back to this thing. So this is going to be the base of our web spell. And what we want to do is have a material ready, not pull one out of our butt at the last minute. So, in the spirit of that, give me a second while I pull something out of my butt. Not pulling anything out of my butt literally, just seeing what I have in the drawers. I had some, I swear to God, I had Halloween spiderweb trap somewhere here, and it's gone. Gone, gone, gone. So, due to that being missing, I have this wet plastic mesh. I don't know what this is from. It's got this weird plastic vegetable ball stuck in it. All right, we can use this. So let's cut some of this off and see what we can do with it. So you want to be able to lay miniatures on this. That's a big part of it, right? So what you want to do is kind of indicate that it's a web, but not make it interfere with anything standing there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come all the way to the edge. And we're just going to dab a little bit of glue here to get it started. Just a little bit. And we're going to flatten that down. And as that's cooling, we're going to drag this around and get the other side. We're just going to drag a little bit of glue in some of these spots, flatten it down to hold this in place. And just let that sit for a minute. All right, we're going to cut off any excess we don't need. And we're going to drag it from the top, fold it over, and get a little bit of glue. Smooth it out some and let it hold. Okay. We're going to do that a couple times just to get it where we want it. And then we're going to come back on this side where we pulled it tight. And we're going to pull it up over the edge here. I didn't leave myself a lot of room to fold it over. And that's going to be something I regret. Yeah, I didn't leave myself enough room. Let's see if we can safely pry this up without breaking anything and try again. Alright, now I have a little bit of room. Alright, let's fold this over. Shove that into the glue. Let's get this glue hot again. And then just kind of fold that over and shove it in. Alright, now we have enough to grab here and pull over. Same deal. All right, so let that cool for a second. It'll hold it in place. Now let's snip any excess off. That's going to go past the edge of our base and be disruptive. But if it's not going to be disruptive, and it's just a little bit of overhang, feel free to leave it. Like that's probably going to be disruptive to us laying it down flat. Snip it off. All right, so that is plenty adequate to represent a web. It's not what I wanted to use, but it'll do for this. And with a clear coat on there, I think it's going to look okay. Now, I also would take another step, and I would cut some of these in half and remove some of this stuff. Where did I cut that edge? There we go. And just open some of that up, that's all. It's not crucial to the success of this, but it can make it look a little nicer. All that popped off the back, and that's my fault. That's okay. You have some other options here, too. If that's not working for your glue, you can get some of this stuff that here and just dab it in some spots where you're sure to hold it where you want it. Make sure it's laying flush against this. Get a couple towards the outside edge would be good, I'm sure. Something like that. And that'll hold it. So now we have two types of glue holding that. We'll let that sit. By the time that's dry, and we hit it with clear coat to cover up the shine from that stuff, we should be good. All right, so this is looking pretty yellow. Let's go back and do one more yellow on this, though. I'm starting to drip sweat. It's really hot in here. It wasn't earlier when I started. Now it's getting hot in here. Well, I had the fan on and the light off and the door shut. The garage door was shut. So some of the air conditioning from the basement had seeped in. So it was pretty decent here when I started. But now I think we're probably about 40 minutes into this ridiculously long video. All right, so let's set that off to the side. I think we're done with yellow on that for a while. Our hands. Let's go around the outside with black, around the outside, around the outside. Got a little bit of spider webs. I want to get some of those off. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want spider webs. Probably should have painted these hands in magic effect, like the stand holding it up first, and then came back and used the black to cover up and go around, but that's not what happened. And you'll find that if you're just starting to craft, or even if you've been crafting for a while, you'll find that you get into making mistakes, dude. You kind of got to work through them. Fortunately, we craft mostly out of garbage, so our mistakes don't tend to be expensive. And I got this air dried clay a good while ago on clearance. You know, if like you go to Walmart, they always have like that aisle where like stuff's marked down. Yeah, I got it there. And it was just for an idea that I had to make hands for my buddy for his bard, so I was actually surprised when I opened it and it was still good. It wasn't as easy to sculpt this time around, I noticed, but it wasn't the worst. Man, I'm sweating. Sweating like a ninja at show and tell. All right, we're done with those for now. We'll set those off to the side. Let's clean this brush out. I think we're done with our black for now. Let's see what I had planned for that sorry, I'm just trying to mix some of this around because it pulled up a little bit and it's not drying because of that. So if you can spread this out more, it will dry faster. All right, everything's pretty much base coated. So we have one more thing we want to do, and that's do something with this. So let's get our +2 hot air gun burning. Let's get a cotton ball. And let's start spreading that out in the direction of our 5-foot or 20-foot cone. And you don't need to cover every part of it. You just want to get the basic shape. And if you need to tear some apart and move it to get it somewhere else, you can do that. Like I'm going to take that off. I'm going to spread this out a little more. And we want it to look kind of billowy. kind of billowy, not 100% billowy. So we need to affix that to that, and then we need to kind of spread this in here to cover it up too. But we need a handle in here. So I think what I got here, as far as handles go, yep. All right, so we're going to affix this toothpick here. Okay. And then when that sets, we're going to pull a little bit up on it. And then we're going to slide the, where's the other piece of cotton? There it is. We're going to slide the cotton down over it. So let's get just a little bit, there we go, something like that. Just to add some sturdiness. And then we're going to kind of make where the cotton's going to go on. There we go. Get that on there. Push that down. Oh, that is going all over the darn place, you son of a darn you. Not as beautiful in execution as it was in concept, eh? And then, man, I don't think that's going to work like that the way I wanted it to. So anyways, the plan was, it still might be the plan, but I'm going to use that there. Then I'm going to snip this off. And I'm going to glue a bead on top to be a handle to hold this. Okay, that was the plan. And then we want to get a little bit of glue on top of that bead. All right, let's get a second cotton ball. We probably only need a portion of this one. And let's try to fill in some of our gaps. And we're not looking for perfection here, but we are looking for some coverage, right? That handle is still not ideal at this point. It's a little wonky and loose, and it's just not getting what I want. All right, so when you're cooled down here, come back around and snip off the shape of where the cotton ends and where your piece is. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now, if you hit this with clear coat, this will give this almost a plasticky kind of firmness. And that's kind of what we want to do right here. So you want to get this stuff in place the best you can. You want to try to mush it down some, get it off the edges. Then you're going to take this and hit it with clear coat. I'm going to be right back. All right. This is back. Back on that. fuzz out of here. Let's see what we got. So this is ready for painting. It's going to have to sit and dry. All right, so we are ready. We have a spider web. Okay. And once that's clear coated and done and all that glue is dry, it's just going to be black. That was an easy one. It's not beautiful, but it covers the point. We have a big beast fist, a shield spell, and a hand. So in the next video, we're going to come back and paint them. Give me a few minutes to get this all dry and ready and set and make sure everything's cool. And then we might end up scrapping the web, honestly. I don't know yet. And then we'll get there. But hey, this is Doom from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, one half of the Dungeon Swag team. If you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe. Here is the +5 cleaver of liking and subscribing. There it is. Like and subscribe. Come to our website. Check out our miniatures. They are averaging out to less than $3 a piece, I think, with shipping. So it's a great deal that you can't really go wrong with. You're not going to get miniatures of this quality anywhere else for that. They're durable, they're flexible, they're sturdy. Where's that one? I had one sitting here. I was going to show you. Look. All right, so here's one I gave up painting on because it was really hard. Look at this bow. This is resin, 3D printed resin. Look at the detail. Yeah, it's a terrible paint job, but look at the detail on the stuff, okay? He is super sturdy. You're not going to find that for that price anywhere. So do it. Take a chance. Go get a free mini. Go on the website right now. It says free mini $3. Click on it. It'll send you to the Discord. You'll get a link. Use that discount link, and you get the mini and shipping for free, no cost to you. Try it. If you like it, talk to us. Maybe we can work out a deal. But we do have the monthly subscription box, and it's amazing. It really is. So I help pick the minis. I kind of pick them, really, because Tom doesn't tell me no. And I love every one of them. They're miniatures I want on my table, and that's how they get selected. So thanks for watching. Have a good evening. See you in part 2.